Hello, everybody. Ruowen Huang and Dana Ritchie here today. Ruowen is spiritual coach, psychic, and here we are again. And I want to continue the conversation from last week.
Sure,
because,
bring it on.
Yeah, because it's a very important part with my clients in last decade about sleeping. And you mentioned something at the end of our last week where somebody energetically, when somebody goes to sleep, they're upset, and then if you're sleeping beside them, the energy kind of I think you said they suck it out of you. I don't remember the exact word.
You interact. Your energy naturally will interact with whoever sleep next to you.
And then they wake up and they might apologize or not. But I guess my question is, so how does that work? Because I remember thinking from subconscious point, it's very different. So I would like to get your opinion on it. How does that work when the people then sleep energetically? Or even if you're sleeping alone, like what does the energy do?
Okay. In a psychic point of view, let's say we put energy aside. We talk about body and we talk about soul. So in a psychic point of view, every human being is combined by the combination of soul and body. That's easy to understand, right? Mm-hmm. So assuming if your mind is constantly active at thinking things or overthink things, but you didn't have time to digest them all before you go to bed. So most likely those kind of things will surface up during your sleep. But for majority of people, if they go to sleep, their soul will then go to the source. We call the source. That where everything begins, where you have a clear mind, where you know exactly why things happen the way it is. So for those two different kind of people, the morning they wake up, they will have a totally different experience. For those people who hang on to their logical mind, who hang on to their ego, they hang on to all those million things that they have to do, most likely they will not have a good rest because they don't have an opportunity to go back to the source. Their mind is continuously eating them alive. So next morning when they wake up, they will feel more drained. While most of us, I would say most of us, we just toast, like they drain us out. We have no brain to think about anything else. And all we want to do is just have a good sleep. So in that case, your soul would go back to the source and then get recharged during your sleep. So that's what I would say. Most of you must experience this. Before you go to bed, you feel like, so, you know what, there's way too much going on. I just going to think about it tomorrow. And then next morning you wake up, you're like, oh, I seem to have the answer for the question that I had that night before out of the blue. Yeah,
I love it. I never thought about it that way. It's very interesting because no, seriously, like I never thought that the soul would go to the source, like, and then recharge. It's kind of I love it energetically, because from my teaching, what I do with people who wake up with chronic pain or have panic attacks in the middle of night, I always rewire the brain, the subconscious, to clear it before they go to bed. So it's kind of like, I always call it like preventative measures, where they would pre-program before going to bed, and then that subconscious is relaxing. I always see it like a brain and subconscious in the same room. And then the subconscious is not frantically running around. And I think it's the same what you're saying with ego, that people who are stuck in ego and they think, no, I have to do this, I have to do that, and then they just drive themselves crazy over and over again.
So then that would trigger their pain, like what you call chronic pain. So in psychic point of view, we advise people do almost similar things that you recommended. Is before they go to bed, we tell them to get into like 3 or 5 minutes meditation, to tell them to let go of their ego. So I would say in that perspective, it's very similar to what you do, right?
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's cool. So they kind of prep themselves as well.
Yeah, if those people who hang on to their logic too much, they couldn't let go, they constantly worry about, money or the boss or the family or things like that, then we will advise them to take some deep breath and let go of those things, and then get your mind and body into that relaxed mode.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. And again, the principle, actually, I guess the result is very similar, isn't it?
Yeah, no.
You just covered it from a different point of view.
Yeah.
Science versus psychic. I love it. Okay, so then so then I can ask you the next question.
Yes.
Somebody walk outside of my window. So the next question. Somebody's robbing us.
See, I can never look around anywhere. People will think, oh my God, what do you see? What do you see?
Distracting. So because I do have a lot of clients that do have panic attacks at night, and the rewiring works. So pretty much with you, it's the same thing. They would do like 3-5 minutes meditation, and in a hope that as they're sleeping, they would the soul would go to the source and it would recharge. And then, so do you, okay, this is interesting because now I haven't really done that through the sleep with other people, but now you brought me to this idea. I always teach people to shield, so to preserve the energy, right?
Yes.
And so really, if they are going to sleep and they have like, and I'm looking for a nice word, a partner that they don't get along with, or there's some grief or issues. So they could theoretically, if they feel like they wake up exhausted in the morning because the energy is sucked, the vampires are coming, then they could do the same thing, like either meditate or preventatively shield themselves from the energy of the other person they're sleeping beside, right? So then that way they don't absorb it. Well, I mean, that would make sense. Like, I never thought about it that way.
I want to say, well, logically it should work, but realistically it doesn't really quite work, because you cannot keep in guard all the time. And each shield that you create, I would say for any newbie who creates shield out there, that it lasts about 3 hours to 6 hours.
Oh, okay.
Somewhere between your sleep is gonna break.
Okay,
right?
Gotcha.
So what I'm saying is naturally we want to take the love of the other half, whether we like them or we hate them. It's because we marry them. So we somehow, some way, if they're going through difficult time, they're being such a jerk, we still you must see a lot of women out there, I mean, their husband treating them like a jerk, but they will say, I think I can change them. So we naturally have that savior behavior that would make us very vulnerable when we're sleeping with someone who got aggressive, energy. We want to take the love of them. So that's why you will see constant pattern like those aggressive ones. When they wake up, they feel so much lighter. And then the person who probably naturally doing all the spiritual work, they will get up and feeling more drained or more tired the next day. So I would say my advice to most of you who's have to sleep with the other half, try to resolve the problem. Not all, but try to resolve the problem before you go to bed. Because in that regard, while you both sleeping, both of you can go back to the source and both of you can get meditated. But if you come to the situation that you really, really feel drained, like it may not be just one day, it has been a period of time, maybe try to separate, not always, but separate bed for about 1 night or 2. So you have total rejuvenized, then trying to go back and sleep again together. But I would say try to sleep together when you kind of work things through during the daytime.
So it goes back to that saying, never go to bed angry and never leave the house angry, right? Like I remember as a kid watching all these movies where it was just bizarre, where I would they basically, people would leave all angry and then something happened and then there was this guilt and regret, right? So I guess that okay, well that's that makes sense. So it's almost like between the couples, the energy balances if they are in the same room. One increases and one potentially could decrease if they don't go to the source. Okay, got it.
Well, I like a couple, you must experience it yourself. As a couple, your energies always try to balance one another. Right. So even when you're awake, you're doing that. When you're asleep, you especially doing that.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Okay, so no, I love it. I love it. So okay, so since we were talking about the panic attack at night, so but how about chronic pain then? And since we are on the night, let's take it at night. So I have a couple clients after surgery, and then the struggle is at night, and the rewiring works really well for stuff that is related to emotional trauma, but the body always has to heal, right? So from my point of view, I don't really try very much because I work with chronic pain, not the fresh pain after the surgery. So I guess my question to you is, if somebody is after surgery or at treatment or has pain at night that keeps them awake, how does that work energetically? Do they wake up and go to the source? I mean, I don't know. I'm asking.
No, they do. But it have a lot to do with your mindset. So, okay, from a psychic point of view, your body is only a vessel of your soul. So whatever your soul is experiencing, your body is going to react that way, right? So if you understand this fundamental thinking, then you will know any pain that you are experiencing right now, somehow, some way, your soul are experiencing it. So for the long run, if we go through the surgery and things like that, most of people say, oh my God, I'm still in pain. They focus so much in pain, like I'm in pain, I'm in pain, I'm in pain. Therefore, your body simply had to respond to your soul saying, I'm so much in pain. So the pain will last longer and you will continue. But just like, nature animal, if they got hurt, they injured, they don't go out, they do crazy thing. They'll say, I used to be able to jump. I used to do that. Most of animals don't do that. They will just simply take it easy and understand pain and let the pain continuously healing themselves. So I would say for those people who are experiencing fresh pain, understand your body is simply the vessel of your soul. So in order for your body to recover from whatever wound that just open up and all that, you have to focusing on healing, not focusing on how much pain that you're going through. So even though it's going through pain, you take a couple deep breaths and then just simply imagining how it's like when it's healed. Like everything feels fresh, and then you feel the wound slowly close together, and every tinkly pain is slowly bring the wound back together. When you start to focusing that, you would be amazed at how fast your wound actually recover itself.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, because I think that's why the chronic pain rewiring or reprogramming subconsciously works so well, because for those people that you mentioned that concentrate on the pain, then they start growing like fears and guilt and anger, blah blah blah, and then you can rewire that, because really the body at that point healed the pain. And it's interesting because I had this discussion with a client who gets sore back every year and going through separation right now and cannot move and is saying, no, this is from injury from my hockey.
Of course.
Right? He hasn't played hockey for like 3 years. So it's interesting that people don't really, I think people don't realize how much the body is affected emotionally when it comes to pain.
It does. I mean, it's easier for people to connect something like, oh, it must be from that. It cannot be from anything else. But I'm going to use a back pain, for example. Back pain from psychic's point of view is because one soul doesn't feel support. It's not being supported by the family, not being supported by the husband, not being supported by the child. Eventually, when they sense of lack of support, because understand your spine support you, right? Support whatever you do. So because you have a long time not experiencing anyone support you, therefore that pain feel the need, I need to stay. I'm here to tell you, you feeling lack of support.
Yeah. And now when I'm thinking all the clients that have sore back, that fits very well.
You start connecting the dot together. Now you will see how Dana is trying to reprogram your mind.
That's exactly. That's totally. It's like, well, it's the same. I love it because it's like you kind of put a label to it, right? And it's the same as astrology. Sometimes I just say, No, it's because this planet is retrograding. So of course, you know, you have all these obstacles and delays in your.
Yes.
So yeah. So that's cool. Well, I guess we're running out of time.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for.
Well, thank you for having me over.
Yeah, no, love it. Next week we are at Joanne's Ruowen's wall again, and then the week after we're going to be here. That's so right. Everybody have a great day, and we'll talk to you 2 weeks in here and next week on her wall.
Okay. See you guys next week, my wall.
Okay, bye.
Bye.